Okay, folks, so today is January 20th, 2025. We're going to talk about what happened today on Inauguration Day. Not really on the technical analysis standpoint, but just this is what happened with my scripts today. This one script that I have here is the one that I like the least, right? And it's the only one that took trades today. So it took 2 or 3 trades or so. If I scroll on there, you can see that the total P&L was a positive $55. And then if you see that there was a total of 9 orders, but that's because I have entries and then bracket orders. Entry and bracket order. Entry and bracket order. So that's three entries or three orders for each attempt, right? So a total of 9 orders, but 3 entries. P&L of positive $55. Okay, all right. Let's move over to what we're actually going to look at for today, which is going to be making a rectangle on the chart. So we're going to make this using a date time object. We can do it with a bar number object as well, but we're going to do it with a date time point instead of a bar number point. So let's get over to that. This is just going to be for the time starting at 6 o'clock, ending at 9 o'clock. And this will just be the basics of how that goes. So let me come over here, verify this, and then we have nothing going on. Let's get to it. We have an empty screen, so the first thing that we're going to do is we need to make sure that we do bring up the namespaces, which is, how come I'm not at the top? There we go. Using EL system not drawing, because we are drawing system dot drawing objects. We'll be drawing objects, and that's pretty much all we need for this. We're not doing anything with vectors or collections or anything like that. We will have a variable which will be a rectangle. We'll just call it box 1. Okay, and then so what we're going to do is we're going to say if we're at the time of 9 o'clock, then we want to go ahead and draw our box. So if time is equal to 0, no, we want to say if time is equal to 1600, if it's at the end of the day, then X draw box. So that right there, because it has parentheses, that is a method. So we're only going to call on this specific method when we have something to do with it. Method void X draw box. Close, begin, end. Okay, so one of the things that we need to do is we need date time objects and date time points. So one thing for sure that we need whenever we create our rectangle, it'll essentially be box 1 is equal to rectangle, and then you hit enter, dot create comes up. So then it tells you if you go down to number 3, yeah, you can use date time points. For number 3, you can use date time points, or number 2, you can use bar number points, XY points, all that. So we're going to use date time points. So you need a date time point here, and then you need a date time point here. Okay. All right. So that being said, we're going to have variables that are date time points, and the first one will be st start point, and then we have a date time point which will be end. Tell you what, I want to make it so it's just that start point, end point. Okay. Now, so from there, to get our start point, it's going to be a date time point. So start point equals, we're going to put dt point dot create, and then you see with dt point you need date time of the bar and the price. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so for the date time of the bar, we need the date time of 0600, which you could probably put date time of 0. I bet you could make something with an EL date time X format, but yeah, so we're going to do that. We're going to go, we're going to have a date time object, which would be start time. So for the opposite side of that, we need a date time object, which is end time. Okay. So even before we use this start point, we need to create our start time and end time. So So start time will be equal to date time dot create. It's going to create it that way. And end time is equal to date time dot create. And then so for start time, stime dot el date. I think no, we're gonna this is essentially instantiating it. So we're getting the instance of start time. So now we're going to initialize it with the initial information, which will be the start time will be equal to date time. Now, if you caught one of my other videos, you'll see that if I put something specifically like stime.el time is equal to 1600, then it will assign 1600 as the time, but then the date will get messed up somehow. So I don't know if that's a bug with Tradestation. I believe it's a bug, but either way, the best thing to do right now is to just set it up all at one time. So stime is equal to date time dot from el date time. And then we're going to set it all up at one time. We're going to give the date and we're going to give it the time. So the date will be whatever date we're currently on, because we're not looking back into any previous days, not for this example. And then the time will be 0600. Okay, and then so we're going to do the same thing for end time is equal to date time dot from el date time dot from el date time date, and it's going to be 900. Okay, so from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. All right, so this ought to give us a proper start time and end time. So when we doing our start point and our end point equals dt point dot create, this will be end point will be end time, and then we need the whatever the price is. So we'll just go with the low, and then so for the start point we'll go start time and then we'll go the high. Now what we need here is we need to know not the low of the current bar, because the current bar is going to be 1600. So we need to know the low of the end point, which is 9 o'clock. We need to know the high of the start point, which is 6 o'clock. So how do we find the time? How do we find the high of 6 o'clock and the low of 9 o'clock? Well, I believe there's some type of method for this, but I couldn't find the method, couldn't think of it. So I actually came up with essentially a function or a method to do it myself. So let me see if I can come up with a method. Let's see. Time from bars, since entry bars, nope. Bar date time, bar since, nope. Okay, just wondering if I could come up with it now. All right, so we've got the start time from here. This is a date time variable, end time or object, end time. So we've got our start point, our end point. So again, now we need to find out what the high is here and the low is here. So let's do another method. And we're going to say, find us the high. We need to find out how many bars ago. So let's open this back up. We need to find out, so if this is the, is this the 9 o'clock bar? Somewhere in here. Like if this is the 9 o'clock bar in here, and then this is the 6 o'clock bar back in here, we need to find out how many bars, well actually, we're looking at this being 1600. We need to find out how many bars ago this happened versus how many bars ago this happened. So we're going to have a method void x bars ago, and we're actually going to return the number of bars ago. So we'll make this an integer. Begin, end, we will need at least some type of index here. So that's an integer index. And then so we're going to say whatever time it is, we're going to start looking back from that time. So we're going to say while the time, while the bar date time of whatever index we're on dot el time is not equal to this time, it's not equal to whatever time we put in there. So we have to input a time into our, and that's an integer, it's not a double. See, this is an integer, it doesn't have any decimal places. So integer z time. So while the bar date time is not equal to z time, then while bar date time is not equal to z time, what are we going to do? We're going to begin, end. We're going to so when we do find it, whatever we find, we're going to return the index. Meanwhile, index is going to be plus equal to 1. So while the bar date time is not equal, while the bar date time, the EL time, so the military time, is not equal to the Z time that we put in, we're just going to add another 1 to the index, and then we're going to recheck it, and then we're going to recheck it, and then we're going to recheck it. We need to stop at some point though. So the thing with using this while loop is it'll just kind of keep going until this is true or until this is false. Well, until that's true, I'm sorry. So while we're waiting for this to happen, or IDX equals bar number. And why did I do that? I'm actually going to do bar number plus max bars back minus 1. But you could probably get away with either one. All right. Why did I do that? Oops, sorry. I'm back on the other page. Okay, so I just did this here. All right, so I said while bar date time is of the EL time, the military time, is not equal to whatever time we are looking for, our beginning time or our end time, go one more bar back, right? So we're going to start at that 16, you see, we're going to start here at the 1600 bar, because IDX will be 0. And then if IDX, if that military time is equal to whatever time we have in here, whatever time we input, we're going to input this time right here. Okay, so until that becomes true, or we reach the beginning of our chart, IDX, we're going to keep looping through, and if the number of bars matches the number of bars on the entire chart, then we just need to stop. Okay, so that's why we put or this happens, because we're going to keep doing this until one of these things gets to be true. Okay, so while bar date time is not equal to Z time, or the index is not, or the index is not equal to the number of bars on the chart, begin, we're going to add 1, and then okay, so once we run this, we might get to the very end and IDX will be, you know, the last bar on the chart, or IDX will be how many ever bars ago we find 600 or 900. I got a funny feeling though that at the very beginning of the chart that this is going to cause a problem. So I have to think about how to deal with that later. All right, but for this though, this is fine. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we need to know how many bars ago this high happens when the time is 600. So we're going to do X bars ago. We're referencing our method, and what time are we putting into it? 0600. Okay, and then we're going to have the same thing go in for our low, paste that, and then this is going to be 900 because this is the end of the bar, end of the rectangle. Okay, so I think that looks good. We've got our start time, our end time. We went ahead and instantiated and initialized it with the current day, the time, and then we have our start point, which includes our start time, and then our location, which is the high of how many bars ago we found in our loop. Okay, so let me try verifying this and see if we have any issues. Oh, yeah, well, can't put that there. All right, verify that. Date time, got to spell it right. Okay, date time point. Oh, this here I was just putting as a reference just to show you what would go into there. But so we have our start point and we have our end point. And another thing that we want to do, like you see on there, it says creating a rectangle using DT points. Good practice is to make the object persist and allow user input for modifications. So let's go ahead and we need to draw the object for one thing. Drawing GX, add box one, and then before we even add it, we're going to box one dot persist will equal true. That'll make it stay on the chart. All right, verified it. Let's see. No errors, but it's doing something on the chart, which seems to be that it is stuck in a loop, because otherwise it would have drawn it by now. Okay, so 0600, 0900, 0600, X bars ago, 0900. While bar date time of IDX. Let's see. Yep, here we go. All right, see that? Infinite loop detecting and study. Okay, so one of the things that we need to do is bar date time for the current EL time, while the bar date time is not equal to Z time, or IDX is not equal to bar number. All right, let me think about this for 2 seconds. I'll tell you what I will try. Instead of making this bar number, because that includes max bars back -1, let's make this bar number. Then when we verify it, now I'll come back over here and try to turn it back on. All right, there's still an infinite loop there. Again, we're going to add 1 to the index. Now this should be starting at 0. The only way, as I understand, typically this will start at 0, but let's just make sure that it starts at 0. IDX equals 0. Okay, rerun it. Okay. So yeah, I think that was fine starting at 0. IDX is going to be plus equal to 1. So at that point, we'll add another 1 to the index. And then if bar date time equals the z time, then we're going to return the index. Yes. And this is a time. Sometimes, again, this has got to equal this, or the bar number equals. So one, we should never get into an infinite loop, because we should always be able to get out of that loop, because the bar number should equal the index. So we're not getting out of the loop. That's going to be a problem. We should always be able to get out of the loop, even if we don't find what we're looking for here. So this right here, this has got to be the problem. This is our exit criteria, our failsafe, right? So how come we're not exiting when the IDX equals bar number? The only thing I can think of right away is that we must need to subtract 1 from the bar number, because somehow either that, or we're starting the, tell you what, we need to make this greater then. So instead of not equal, let's make it that the IDX has got to be less than the bar number, and that will stop it. Okay, so verify it there, and then let's come back over and turn it back on. That should have fixed it. Did not fix it. But when I made this earlier, I used the repeat statement. I didn't use the repeat statement here. I'm using the while loop. But I want to use the while loop. So I'm gonna figure this out. And then I'll show you the repeat statement. Because this is the stuff that really gets you tripped up, and I do not give up. I just do not give up. So let's see if we can figure this out. All right, so give me a second. Let me think about this, and then I'll come right back to it. Okay, you know what? I thought of what it is. And Boolean operators, yeah, they can. I'm not a programmer by profession, so I will fall victim to some of the things that professional programmers, those conditions, those operators that they just know and understand intimately. I don't. But what I'm thinking is this should not be or. I'm thinking this should be and. All right, so verify that there. Now let's come back over here. We're going to turn it back on. Okay, perfect. Yeah, because what's happening is I'm saying while this, and then I had or this. Well, this may be true, and so this would allow the program to run all the way to the beginning of the chart, and then this may not be true anymore, so this one doesn't shut it off, but now this one will never be true beyond those other bars, because now we just don't have any more times, bar date times, that follow this logic. Anyway, it's hard for me. It was hard for me to come up with a solution. So don't you think it's gonna be hard for me to explain it to you? yeah, but hopefully with more practice, I'll get it and I'll be able to explain to you better. But yeah, just be sure of your operator. So we have what we're looking for here. Let me open this up so you can see a little bit closer. All right, so we have what we're looking for here. So while the bar date time is not equal to Z time, we're going to keep looking. Okay, and the bar number has to be less, the index has to be less than the number of bars on the chart. We don't want to go beyond the number of bars on the chart. Okay, so that's got to be an and then everything else is fine. Now let me show you down here, because like I said, I worked on this earlier. This down here, I use the repeat statement. So instead of using the while statement, I use the repeat statement. So I can use the for loop, I can use the repeat loop, I can use the while loop. For me, using the while loop is my weakest, right? But I chose to do it here because you get stronger with more practice. Now, this is success over stress. So one of the things I do like to talk about is, just success generally. We talk about your weak areas and your strong areas. I've heard a lot both ways, but just in my life and what I've seen and what I've read, my experience is that you do want to focus on your strengths. You don't want to spend as much time on your weaknesses. You'd rather delegate those out or find some other way of getting those weaknesses accomplished. Leverage something to get those weaknesses managed, right? Of course, if you have the extra time where you can work on your weaknesses, by all means, but you will probably have the best use of your time working on your strengths, because you can really exponentially improve that, as long as you can, right? When you get to the point where you kind of running out of potential or room for growth, even with your strengths, then you might need to start working on some other things. But until you've maxed out strengths to 100, right? Then keep working on your strengths. Find something else. Find another function that Tradestation has, or find a video of mine to help you with your weaknesses. But yeah, continue working on your strengths. Anyway, I feel like for me, just programming in general, just the analysis, some of this detailed stuff, this is what I consider to be my strengths. So this is why I mess around with it. But anyway, let's see. All right, let's go ahead and make some of this stuff. If we look at our word notes, we want to make some of it just a little bit more user-friendly so you can modify it on the go. All right, so let's just have an input here. Start time, and then we're going to put 0600, and then end time 0900. Okay, so here we'll put start time. Here we'll put end time, and then likewise start time, end time. Okay, and then if we want to change the color of the rectangle, box 1, for another input, we'll put rectangle color blue. The word blue, box 1 dot color is equal to color dot from name. And what is the string? The string is rectangle color, which we put up there earlier. Verify, come over here. Oh, wrong one. Okay, so now, oh, we put the wrong color. Okay, so for the color, instead of box 1 color, we'll do box 1 field color. Okay, now when we come back over, you see that our field color is that blue. All right, we will, yes, we want to modify this. Now you see our times, we can change this from 0700 to 12 o'clock. and then we're going to change the color to yellow. It's got to be one of the colors that Easy Language recognizes. Okay, so you get something like that. All right, now if you want to go over here and you want to modify that color a little bit, let's modify the color so it doesn't interrupt our visibility on the chart too much. Let's go from name, and then we're going to go I think we can go box1 dot field color equals color dot from can we do alpha color dot maybe not. From ARGB we can, you see, we can do several things. We can put the alpha in and then the color base, or we can do the red, green, blue, or we can do the alpha red, green, blue. I wonder, can we do alpha and then color dot from name, and then there we'll put rectangle color that, and one more parentheses that. We're gonna shut this one down, and then we will re-verify it. It didn't like that. Oh, instead of A for alpha, we need to put like 100. So the scale goes from 0 to 255. So when we verify that, now you see that this is kind of more transparent. If we want to go even more transparent, we can go to like 50, and then you see it's even lighter. Okay. So now when we come back over here, we can double click on our object. Click on it, double click on it, hit yes. Instead of it being yellow, let's make it green. Okay, so now it's light green. Now you see we can click on this and we can drag it around. We don't want to be able to drag it around, so let's come back over here, and then we're going to say that we want it to be locked. Box1 dot lock equals true. Verify that. Okay, now when we come back over here, you see now when we click on it and we try to drag it, it says locked. Okay. Like I said, you could take this to another level. Let's see if we can do this fairly quickly. And I may not be able to, but I'm up for the challenge. Main display, we're going to click on this. When we go to, we're going to go to, if we click on the object, we want to delete it, right? We want it to delete. So this adds another level of complexity. Nothing that I haven't done before. I just have to kind of work my way around it a little bit, but let's see how quickly I can get through it. So we have box one. We can have different events. Box1 dot click. You see that that lightning bolt plus equals. We're going to have a method for it. We're going to say rect clicked. Okay, and then so we got to make another method up here, which is called method rect method void rect clicked. And then we got to put something in parentheses there. That has to be something that we come up from our dictionary. We type in click there, and then so it'll give us some options of what kind of click are you talking about. Well, we need an object that was clicked. Windows forms, drawing objects that was clicked. Now we want to just copy this in parentheses. Okay, copy that, paste it over here. Okay, and now we have a begin, end. So now what's going to happen when we click on that object? Well, when we click on that object, we want to delete it. Okay, so how will we delete the object? Well, Sender is something that you can use to find out what sent the rect clicked information, but I think this tends to be maybe the drawing objects collection or something that sent it. That's one place, that's one part that I don't know about. Again, I'm not a professional at this, but what I do know, just with messing around with it, is we want to use args, right? So we want to take args. So we're going to do two things here. We're going to say we're going to have a new variable, and that's going to be a random placeholder object, which is going to be rect to delete. Okay, and then that's going to be a type rectangle, because that's what we're deleting. Okay, and then so we're going to have rect to delete is going to be equal to what our object is, args dot let me see here, args dot, nope, it's not showing up. So let's see, sender, I don't think it was a sender. I'm pretty sure it's the arg. So let me see here, using EOSystem drawing objects, using EOSystem.drawing objects, drawing objects events. Yep, that all looks good. Let's click on that. Nope, no information there. And then drawing objects events. Drawing objects here. Okay, and still not giving us much information. So let's go to back to the dictionary here. Drawing objects, sender, the object that raised the event. A drawing object event, args object containing event specific properties. So I think that's what I want. Let's see here. So the args does have the object, but again, typically you can type in args dot and it'll come up with the args information. So I don't know why it's not doing it right now. And that's peculiar. Args dot, because I think it says like object or something like that. Tell you what, I'm just going to delete that. Args dot. Let's try it this way. Let's just say that rect to delete is equal to the sender. Okay. I don't like this. Give me 2 seconds. Let me think about this for a second. All right, folks, let's just try this for a second just to see if we're in the right ballpark. So when we do come into here, let's just print I was here. Okay, so now we're going to come back over to the screen. You see we have the print log down here. So now when I click on this object, it does say I was here. So we know that it works. So now we need to come back over and figure out how come we can't get the rest of it to work. So I'm still stuck on that. I know that it should have that there should be some information that you know what we're gonna do? No. Let's try this. I don't know if it'll work, but we're going to do drawing objects dot delete. What are we going to delete? We're going to delete the sender. Didn't like that. drawing objects dot, oh, it's objects dot delete sender. Sender as type rectangle. Boom. All right, now we're going to come back over here. And now that it's already drawn, now we click on it and then it deletes it. Okay, so that did work. Now we're just going to click on this and it deletes it. Click on this and it deletes it. Okay, so that does work. And again, it worked as us sending. What we did was when we clicked on the object, we sent the, we deleted what was the sender. The sender was the object that was clicked on, and it was as type rectangle. So if this was any other type of drawing object, instead of putting rectangle, we just put DO. I think it's DO object. Is that right? DO. Or no, it's just drawing object, I think. Drawing object. And then verify that. So now when we come back over here, when you click on this, it'll still go away. Now that could, if you were drawing a circle or an ellipse, or you had wrote out a text, or you had done anything with the drawing object, now it would delete any of them. But if it happened to, if you went to your script and you put on there that you only wanted to delete a rectangle, then it would only delete rectangles that were clicked on. But you want to first say if sender is type rectangle, then delete it, right? So now when we verify and we come back over, now when we click it, it deletes. Now when we click it, it deletes. But if we were to go back and say, instead of is type rectangle, we say is type trend line and verify it. Now when we come back over, now if we click it, it won't go away because it's not is type trend line. It's only going to delete objects that are is type trend line. So that's cool there. All right, anything else we think could be creative to do with this object? Let's see. Yeah, like I said, I like to keep expanding my abilities. So it really just comes with practice and trying. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a chart host here. CH chart host. Okay, on key down, I'm gonna double click that. And so on key down will allow us to, it'll monitor the chart if we're pressing a button. Okay, so what button? Args, if args dot key, or virtual key is equal to virtual keys dot there's a control button, CTRL, control key. If we press down on the control key, then key, I'm just going to have something called key down, key D is equal to true. Okay, so we just need to have one. So on key up, just going to turn it back off. So we're going to have this same thing and then paste it, and then key D is equal to false. Then we come back up to the top, and so we have a key D. Now this will be interbar persist, so it can turn on and off and change according to what we want it to do within a bar, and it won't stay stuck. Okay, so if the control key is pressed, then key down is equal to true. Okay, so now if we click on the if key down, so when we click on the rectangle, right, if it's type rectangle and key down, so if key down is equal to true And if key down is equal to true, then we're going to change the color. So we're going to say box, or we need to, in order to change this color, because it's not quote unquote box 1 anymore, it's sender. So now we're going to make sender rectangle to delete. That's the rectangle that we're holding. Rectangle to manage. Rectangle to manage is equal to sender as type rectangle. We could put drawing object. Well, let's put drawing object. And then then we're going to do if key down is equal to true. So if we are holding the key down button, then we're going to change the color. So we're going to have rectangle to manage dot color is equal to, or dot field color is equal to color dot blue. This is just all the many things that you can do with programming. So don't get caught up in what I'm doing. I'm actually really just playing around a little bit. And then we're going to change the weight to 4. So this is going to change the weight of the border line. Okay. Now, if we leave this here, then it's going to then also delete it. So we're going to put if key down is equal to true, then we're going to do this. Else, if key down is not true, then we're just going to delete it. Okay, so verify that. Equals sender. Not assign drawing object to drawing object's rectangle. So I guess we have to go ahead and assign it here to a rectangle, because we are putting it in a rectangle object here. We can't put it in as a drawing object. We need to go ahead and put it in as a rectangle. But, and I think the reason I did that is because this could be anything. This could be a trend line. This could be a ellipse. This could be a triangle. So what we should say is if sender is type rectangle, then rec to manage equals sender as type rectangle. Okay, now I'll verify that. End else sender end else if sender is type rectangle, then delete. That's okay. Verify that. Now when we come over here, if we don't press the control down key and we just click on it, then it should delete it. Now we're going to just click on this one without pressing control down, and it deletes. Now this one we're going to hold down on the control button, and then we're going to click it and see what happens. Wow, very cool, right? So we say, okay, well that's way too dark. So okay, so what do? Come back over here. We do similar to what we did up earlier, where the field color is color.blue, but we just kind of manage this and we say color dot from ARGB, and then we do the A will be the transparency, which will be 50, and then this will be color dot from name, or we could just put blue. Just go ahead and put blue here, and we shouldn't have any issues with that. No, it didn't like that. From ARGB, field color, color dot from ARGB. That, okay, this will need to be, oh yeah, because we have the ARGB. This is the A, and then we need the RGB here, not just a name. But if we wanted to do a name, we could do color dot from name. And then blue, and then that, and then verify. Okay, now we come back over. All right, so again, no pressing the control button down. I'm just gonna click it, just click it. Now this time I'm gonna press the shift button down and click it, okay? Now this time I'm gonna press the control button down and then click it. There you go. Okay, so that's a light blue, and then the outside color is red. All right, so let's go back over to the main part of the script. Okay, we're going to change this transparency to something that we set. I don't like that. We'll just put IA. IA is going to be equal to, now this is an integer, so we'll put int, integer, and then we'll put 70. We'll start off at 75. It'll be a little bit darker than it was before. All right, so where did we had IA right here? Okay, so verify that. Okay, and then when we come back over here, now when we click on this chart with the control button pressed down, we get that. Okay. All right, no control button, get that. Okay, no control button, deletes it. Very good, very good. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, I ran this thing long enough. We worked through some while statements. We worked through a bunch of things. Like I said, you could clean this up a lot more. I can't believe I did this much just playing around, but this is how you create a rectangle using the datetime point for your program. I think I'll make another program here later and show you how to create this using a bar number point. So you use BN points here. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, be sure to smash the like button. Tell a friend. Tell some family members. Tell a foe. Tell a foe. Anyways, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.